You once said we'd meet again in a better future. But now we fight for different beliefs. When despair came for me, it was Havoc that gave me hope. And when you raised your gun at me, did you forget what we once had? From now on, I will no longer hesitate. My blade will carry out my conviction.
Spotted.
Reliable intel confirms the Asara Guard is plotting attacks on multiple Havoc facilities. Saeed has planted explosives, aiming to cripple the dam's power grid and prevent Havoc from rebuilding Skynet.
Requesting backup. The pipes have been compromised. Water spreading. If the dam goes down, all areas downstream will be flooded.
All units proceed to the dam immediately. Locate and disarm the explosives.
I'm using a gradient descent algorithm to figure out the most energy-efficient way to get this done.
What?
Getting there. Come on, we've got plenty more to do.
Rashid Rahal, codename Gizmo. Role, engineer. Gizmo, a native operator from Asara, is highly skilled in mechanical technology, specializing in the design and application of engineering devices and tactical tools. He once served as a technical specialist in the Royal Asaran Defense Force, where he gained extensive combat experience. As an operator, Gizmo utilizes mechanical creations for surveillance and tracking. He can deploy smoke mines, which can be remotely triggered, and use sentry bots to mark, damage, and slow enemies within range. Gizmo's tactical equipment is Tenacious Interception Module, the spider-shaped bot, codenamed Tim. Patrols a designated path once deployed. Upon detecting enemies, it enters tracking mode, and once in range, deploys a net that limits their movement and firing.
Can always count on. Mission complete. Preparing to extract. We will end this war someday. This land will no longer be stained with the blood of the people.
There's a few rules to follow in this trade. Planning, focus, efficiency, secrecy, discretion, restraint. One mistake, and you're dead. The secret to my survival lies in one simple tenet. I don't follow shit. Hell yeah. Staying alive. That's all that matters.
"2035. Leveraging its technological and financial prowess, Havoc has started expanding their presence. Akit, owing to its strategic location, is their primary target. Havoc has already established close cooperation with Akit, providing investment and new technologies to intervene in domestic affairs, all while promising to protect and revitalize the nation. GTI remains vigilant. They suspect Havoc is stealing sensitive data and looting cultural artifacts to fund military operations. Having obtained crucial evidence of Havoc's misdeeds, GTI has taken military action.
Well, good morning or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome into the Delta Force Global League Season 3 Warfare EU Finals. We're back with some more Delta Force and Warfare on the horizon. It's going to be chaos, it's going to be nuts, and it's going to be a lot of folks battling for a lot of prize money. I got to bring in my co-caster, Vivid, back with us yet again, a part of the broadcast. Vivid, it's good to have you back, man. We had a lot of fun with the NA semis, but now it's time for the EU Finals. How you feeling about today?
Oh, I'm feeling good. It is good to be back, right? We're returning this weekend. EU is back. I'm excited to kind of jump into the EU scene here as we only watched NA last weekend. And yeah, very, very excited to kind of get into things. I feel like we saw so many different things last weekend, and the fact that we're going to be able to double down today, right? EU followed up by NA later on. I'm excited for all of the action today, Goj.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. EU has a history of being spicy. They've got really aggressive and good comms, and they've got a history of being very, very, very good at the game. I think we're going to be in for some fantastic gameplay, but let's talk a little bit about the format for today, because it could be a quick one, depending on how the games go. Now, we took all of our teams, all of our squads that qualified for today, and we had them pick their commanders. They picked 2 commanders. Those 2 commanders then drafted all of the squads, and then those commanders picked team names. So it's No Mercy versus College Dropouts. We'll talk a little bit about who those teams are here in a moment, but those are our 2 teams today. Now, this is just a single best of 3, all right? So we're going to play one single best of 3. That could be 2 total maps. It could be 3 total maps, depending on how it goes. Now, if the teams do win both on attack or both on defense, however you want to look at it, we will go to game 3 in a best of 3. And you can see all the delineations for how we kind of choose who's on attack, who's on defense, and of course, who is picking the map. But we'll figure that out if we get there. And you can see the map pool on the right. This is randomly selected, so we randomize which map we're playing for EU finals. We'll play that twice in a row with teams swapping sides, and then of course if we go to game 3, it'll be a very different map, and potentially one team having to select if they want to play attack or defense. However, at the bottom, by the way, did you see it? The winner of the EU finals, the winning team, not only wins all this cash, but they also get a spot at what we're calling Delta Force Invitational Warfare out in Vietnam. There's been an announcement about it. We'll talk a little bit more about it, but talk to me about this pricing here, Vivid.
Oh man, you want me to talk about the prize? You just kind of dropped that bombshell on us right there, right? Yeah, the winner today is going to land. That is incredible stuff. But of course, you know, that consolation prize, second place, getting $3,000. But me and Goj, as we're kind of looking at all of the action today, our eyes are going to be peeled towards the top Slayer, who's going to earn themselves $500, and then that top medic as well. Now, those individual performances can really be the difference maker, right? I think last weekend, we kind of saw that usually on both sides of the coin, right? Both teams were kind of getting around the same amount of like revives and eliminations, but sometimes there was that standout player that was just making the difference. Like, yeah, your team may be getting 200 revives, but if one person's getting like half of those, that's such high value. So keep an eye on who's doing the best on the medic and slaying out today.
Well, let's take a look at who's playing today and who could be one of those top individual slayers or medics. I think that's a great shout. Let's take a look at our teams. You're going to recognize some faces, some names, and maybe even some squad names. Team No Mercy at the top. You can see Clone Force 99, Dobro Power, Kansas City Shuffle, Reborn, and Ruffalo team. Now, some of these teams, some of these players, they've competed in Delta Force Global League in the past, and even some of our show matches that we've done. So you've seen Be Quiet TTV, who is in green, which means they are the voted commander of this roster. So all of these squads will be falling under the commander of Be Quiet. Watch out for Be Quiet and all of the orders that I'm sure he'll be putting out there for his team. But he drafted these squads. And so as we take a look at both sides of the equation, college dropouts, Yellow Love will be the opposite commander. And Yellow Love, I'm sure you are all familiar with. Da Boys, literally this squad have been a part of so many versions of this competition, from Delta Force Global Leagues to show matches. John the Bomb, Yellow Love, RFGL, and this time player 1 is going to be their 4th. And Vivid, I gotta say, this squad is one that we have to watch out for. They constantly, consistently, every tournament are some of the top fraggers and some of the best in the biz.
Oh, okay. Goj is already talking up one of the squads here. I love the aura foreign kind of coming out right. Just a single digit there. Number 1. Okay, I'm going to be keeping my eyes peeled towards that squad. I can't lie, though, right? It kind of feels like every single time we jump into one of these, it feels like one of the teams has a name that's a little bit more serious, and the other one's just like completely like troll, right? We have No Mercy, who's kind of getting into it. Their commander is just Be Quiet, like very, very serious. And then we have college dropouts, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Two different sides of the coin here. But yeah, very, very excited to go ahead and watch the boys today. You've been talking them up.
Yeah, the boys will be really strong. I think better. We've seen this squad as well, or at least a couple members of this squad. I've seen Vabatrell and Foxana put up crazy numbers. I would watch out for a top medic, maybe from that roster. I've been paying attention to the Discord. I've been paying attention to some of the team chats, and I gotta say, they have been talking a lot of strategy, not only on, hey, we gotta have engineers, guys. Let's pay attention to making sure our vehicles stay up, but also playing for those revives. I saw a player just say in the chat a moment ago, reminder, do not give up immediately. This is not pubs. We need you to stay on the map so that we can revive you, so we don't waste those lives, those tickets that are so valuable, and honestly far and few between here in Victory Unite. However, we have pulled our map Vivid. We are headed to Fault.
Oh, Fault is going to be very, very awesome. And it's so awesome because it's like, hopefully, you know, we got to get into the match very, very fast. Keep our eyes peeled, because that insane instant aerial battle that is going to be going on this map, I feel like is going to pay dividends, right? Both sides kind of spawning with the jet and instantly kind of going head to head in a dogfight. whoever wins that, I feel like just has so much control over the rest of the game. So Fault is definitely going to be an awesome one to kind of tune into here.
Yeah, starting with Fault, and the players are already ready, folks. Welcome to esports. We're getting into the games immediately.
Oh, wow.
I am so excited. No Mercy versus college dropouts, and you're right, a good shot on Fault. This will be an interesting one. I think generally speaking for Fault, this map is can go pretty quick. This is only 3 sectors, and 3 sectors with 2 capture points in each. So maybe we see a hold on A1, A2. Maybe we see it on B1, B2. But it will come down to C1 and C2, if not the first 2. But let's take a look at it. Game's getting started.
As you can already see right there, right, this map is very vehicle heavy. A bunch of them already kind of rolling out, and we did get a little bit of a glimpse of the dogfight out in the distance right here. The thing about this map too is that, you know, you mentioned it, there are 3 sectors, and it's, you know, very fast-paced map. I feel like all the sectors kind of have the same kind of theme to them, where it feels like you're always kind of pushing up a cliff. So I feel like that's very defensive sided. However, those vehicles being able to kind of lay down some covering fire on top of those hill lines is going to be the difference maker right now. So that way your attacks can actually get up these cliffs. As you can see right here, big staircases to kind of go through and head towards all of the points.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And we're seeing some early action here, and we will start again with a 2 capture point sector of A1, A2. It's not necessarily atypical, but it's not that common to have an A1 and A2 across all of our maps in Delta Force. And so this is one to start out with where we're already seeing that classic casual. You're going to get tired of me saying it. The tug of war begins very soon. As you can see, the attack has decided to move for A2 first, which means A1 may be a bit vulnerable for a counterattack. We'll see what happens, but so far so good. The defense has been able to hold on for a little bit, but both being ticked down already.
Yeah, I mean, definitely holding it down, right? Nothing to really worry about, but yeah, the fact that, actually, I'm going to say there's a lot to worry about. If you take a look at the distance right there, A1 is getting swarmed by players highlighted in red. The attack is definitely going to secure A1 very early on, and listen, if they have that much control over the map already, I would not be surprised if A2 were to fall soon after.
Yeah, and this is obviously a look at Fault, and you can see that already we've got some vehicles in here for not only jets in the sky. Shout out to the jets. We've seen some great plays with them. I think a dogfight's still happening likely, but also vehicles on the ground for the attack already. An armored transport, an IFV, so far, or a LAV. It looks like they're actually getting quite a bit of value out of these vehicles, making sure people can get onto the map quickly. We'll see what the defense is able to do. All day today, by the way. Red going to be your attackers, green going to be your defense. If you're watching from our in-game esports observer, whether it's in free cam or in this POV, if you see green, that's our defending team. And already the attack has taken A1.
Yeah, I'm happy that you went ahead and mentioned that, because I saw top right of your screen, I saw in the kill feed, I did see a jet pick up an elimination from the attacking side. So you have to imagine the skies are being controlled right now by the attackers, which is potentially the foothold for this domination over the A sector right now. A2 is actually in the control of the attackers right now, so much so that Flix here is going to be pushing towards the spawn of the defenders, is kind of holding them out. This is surely an easy capture for the attackers already, and Goj, we like to talk about it as well. Last weekend, it was like a big talking point for us. How many lives you actually spend pushing some of these sectors? They've spent 20. That is not enough to feel confident on the defensive side.
No, it's really good shot. A1 and A2 go almost immediately. I mean, we don't lose anything. We're up to max lives going into B1, B2. Reminder, there's only 3 sectors. The attack looking pretty strong. I know a lot of folks like to favor this defensive position, but here's the thing about Warfare. It is all momentum, and the attack has all of that momentum. They are drifting to the finish line already as we wrap up the first 2 points. But a little bit harder of a task. Up the hill we go, up into the fortress, B1 and B2. Let's see what they can do as we begin to move to the new one.
Yeah, and these terrain make it very hard for vehicles to get involved on some of these points. As you can see, it's very linear, right? There's one dirt road path kind of up to the points right there, and I actually saw there were some anti-tank mines already placed down, which is why you can see off in the distance the attacking vehicles kind of laying down suppressive fire on these ridgelines, because if they get involved, they can very easily be destroyed. So the vehicle game is a little bit atypical than what we're kind of used to seeing. Usually the vehicles want to kind of get involved, make a big impact play for your side to actually get some control over the map, but this is going to be one of those cases where it'll be very hard for them to actually get onto the point.
Yeah, it does look like, by the way, as the attack is trying to figure out what the entry point will be I believe our defense did pick up a tank destroyer, so they're going to have a little bit more firepower holding these points down. I would expect them to be able to hold it for longer, especially because I believe it'll be John the Bomb has been agreed to be one of their main vehicle drivers, which is pretty standard. We'll see if that's correct. I can't quite read the name, but we'll keep an eye out maybe on the kill feed as well. We get a closer look. It actually looks like maybe it's Element in the one of the vehicles at the very least. And I am getting word from production that is Element for sure. So I wonder what John's doing right now, as he traditionally speaking has been in the in the defensive vehicles, Element on the attacking vehicles. Let's see if maybe he can strike back and finally punish some of the attacking vehicles.
Okay, Element kind of controlling one of the vehicles. I did see it was Columbus 13 on the attacking side that was picking up more kills out of the jet. So that jet is still alive for the attacking side of things. And actually, off in the distance as well, in the sky, I see a helicopter picked up for the attack as well. So aerial dominance coming out for the attacking side. And I feel like that's going to be so important.
Yeah, the vehicle dominance right now. I mean, again, this is fault 3 sectors and a lot of vehicles already moving into the mix, so it's utter chaos always. Alcatraz in the defensive vehicle. It looks like one of the 2 now that they have, so a big battle happening around both points right now. The attackers trying to secure here on B1. B2 getting ticked back the way of the defense, but B1 going to the side of the attackers, at least for now. But how many bodies do they truly have? Not enough. Looks like a ton of green in the kill feed. The defense finding a stabilization moment. And I did see John the Bomb has one of those vehicles. Watch out for John.
Yeah, great swarm from the defensive side of things. Usually, you know, Goj likes to point at the tug of war, and I was like, okay, there's a lot of defenders on B1. I know there's attackers on B2 too, so they've probably got a bigger presence on B2, but no, they actually successfully defended both at the same exact time, recaptured both of them right there. So great job by the defense.
Yeah, Alcatraz able to maintain control over his vehicle for the defense, but John just got rocketed out of it. Seemingly didn't have enough engineers around, or just got caught in a weird angle coming around the backside. Watch out for that heli. I'll be paying attention to the kill feed to see how much value they can get out of it. Can certainly pepper this point, though. You can see some of that value already coming through as the attackers swarm onto B2 and have an advantage there. Let's see what the defense does.
Yeah, the flood onto B2 is seeming to be the focus right now for the attackers. They must have a squad kind of off in the distance, kind of pulling some respawn points in for their squad, because it looks like this constant flow keeps coming in right now. But B2 is still very, very hard to take. There's a lot of angles that the defenders can use, and as I say that, the head glitch absolutely ripped off of it.
They got control for now, but not too many places you can hide. A few pieces of cover down here, and you just got to run through the smoke. Anything you get your hands on and get bodies onto the point. One way to do that, though, is run Stinger. You're going to be seeing a lot of Stinger operators today, making sure that they revive, keep people up, heal people when they can. And you're seeing it in perfect display on main, on the point, to make sure they have the majority. Here's a look at our jet over the top, trying to run some dogfights when they need to, and some bombing runs when they have to.
One of the great things about, you know, watching warfare is that when you tune in, you sometimes get a glimpse at what one side has down. And as we were kind of tuning into the jet right there, I saw from the distance, we saw there was like 5 respawn beacons down on the backside of some of these points. So a lot of options for the attacking side to kind of keep this flood going on, which is why the B2 attack is so constant right now. But as I say that, look at this. The defense, again, going to be defending, but they invest all of those resources, and now B1 is completely attack-sided. That one's going to be going over to them for sure.
Yeah, this is a fun moment where we get to talk about, like, I wonder if that tug of war analogy, we'll have to think of another one, because you can't swap sides in tug of war, but that's really what's going on here, right? Traditionally, it's like we give up one in order to maintain the other, and this will go back and forth all day today, but the attack did a perfect counterattack over to the other side. Once they saw B2 being swarmed, they said that means B1 is wide open for us, and a great call. I'm not sure who made that call, but in Victory Unite, the commander can issue orders. We'll watch out for some of those as well. Another way to earn points, which allows you to get some of those support systems coming through, like our artillery barrage, guided missile, and everything in between, as well as getting more vehicles on the map.
Absolutely. And you see John the Bomb right there kind of making a push with the vehicle. He's going to be getting blown up after he did take down one, so that's a 1-for-1 trade in terms of the vehicle game right now. Now B2 or the B sector in general right now. This one's going definitely a lot better for the defense, right? And, you know, obviously they've already lost B1. I don't know if they'll be able to reclaim that because, you know, it seemed like there was such a heavy presence from No Mercy all over that point. But the upside being is that we're down to 105 lives, right? They have made a huge effort to go ahead and pick up a lot of kills that have not been able to pick up right now. So great job for them. And if they can keep kind of dipping into the attack side's resource here of just straight up lives, then going into C, if it goes to C, they're going to be sitting in a very good spot.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I think they would certainly, attackers won't be at full lives if they cap here soon, but it looks like Alcatraz seeing some nice value in the defensive side and a new vehicle that he's gotten his hand on. I gotta say, I gotta shout out Element on the attacking side in the vehicle. Been in the vehicle for a long time and getting a ton of value out of it. And see that vehicle down below playing kind of this in-between and now pushing up over to B1 to make sure they maintain control. They've got to have a solid position on the map in order to spawn in and be able to mass up again. Right now, they're a bit scattered as B1 is slowly ticking back to the defense if they can't figure things out.
I'm very surprised that that's even possible right now, right? We saw how dominant it looked, and I mean, this is why I'm kind of surprised as well. It's like when we kind of take a look at the vehicle economy, the attack side just has so much presence with the helicopter and the jet. And then, you know, the aerial view maybe giving us a different perspective on things. Yeah, there's actually a lot of places to kind of hide inside of buildings around B2, right? So maybe that's kind of being the difference right now. But I mean, the value for the helicopter and the jet right now, do we think that we're getting the value that we need right now?
Yeah, it looks cool. That's a great question. I'm not seeing them lighting up the kill feed necessarily. I mean, there is a decent amount of cover on these points. Maybe our two area vehicles, there's nobody else in the skies. Maybe they're not getting as much value as they'd like, as B1 and B2 are going back to the defense. Now, the attack have a position here on B2, slowly ticking it back down, but not a crazy amount of bodies. All it takes is one solid push from the defense, and all of a sudden, we could be in trouble, and there it is. Ooh, I did just see the jet pick up a triple, though. Could have opened things back up on maybe B1. We'll see what happens, as both points now in jeopardy.
Yeah, as we say that, they must have heard us, Goj, right? The kill feed is getting lit up right now by jets and helicopters, so the value definitely being found right now. It'll be the question of like, hey, listen, you know, we kind of had this last week on the map Cyclone, right, where the jet was kind of flying around to a point where he literally could have no value, and so kind of surviving that point where maybe you have less value to get to that next point where you have a lot of value actually ended up paying off last week, and so we'll have to see if that's kind of a similar thing right now. But yeah, B1 being recaptured and B2 almost being the same, but it looks like the defense comes in.
Yeah, we saw that free cam briefly for a moment. We saw almost all of the attackers on B1. They just want to try to find a stabilization point, and the defense are trying to figure out how the heck do I take down these vehicles in the sky. These are brutal vehicles to try to shoot with an AT-4. You got to line it up perfectly, and I got to say, our helicopter operator is doing a masterful job of making sure they are an extremely evasive target. Here's a look at the jet. Does he have the flares coming through? Did maybe a little bit of damage? No, oh, it did. It did connect. It's very low. It's going to have to back up, at least give them breathing room. But here comes the helicopter, and we don't have another rocket.
Yeah, that's going to be Silly Kitty in that helicopter, I believe, is the operator. Looks like Funky is in the helicopter as well. So they are putting on a masterclass performance right now. And look at this, right? Eyes on Voltaic. He's kind of running towards B2. He was the one using that rocket launcher, kind of staring up in the sky. He looks over towards B2. He realizes, holy moly, there's like 10 attackers on it. And that's what those aerial vehicles could do, right? They can draw just so many eyes up to the sky, and you kind of forget maybe sometimes that you invest all that time. Then you look over and you're like, oh, my objective.
Yeah, I looked over to the right side, and it was all red all day between jet, helicopter, and people on the ground. It looks like the attackers have a decent foothold on both positions, and they could take B2 here. This is a nice take on point. I'm seeing Vasi pick up a ton on point with the duo, making sure they stay alive and just trying to win this point. They got to push to point C. We only have 57 lives remaining. Like you said, the defense has done a great job, but I don't think it's good enough. As we called them out, the skies answered. And sometimes if you win the skies, you can win the ground. And finally, they saw some nice value as we push on to C1, C2. Now, only with 106 lives, nowhere near max, but even still, a great job thus far.
Yeah, I feel like right now going into the C sector, each side kind of has an advantage. One, the defense has the advantage of, hey, listen, they only have 106 lives. The attack has the advantage now of the C sector is completely open. There's no buildings here, right? So that helicopter and the jet, their value is going to be amplified on these points right now. So I feel like if I were to go ahead and pick a side that I feel like was going to win over the C sector, I would actually give it to the attack. I feel like our helicopter and jet operators have been very, very good throughout this match, but now they're going to have a field day.
Yeah, I mean, this kill feed is all red all the way through. Finally seeing some green, and it looks like they're actually maybe falling from the skies, or I don't know, but they are dying. Green killing green, red killing everybody else. Right now, the attack has so much momentum, and I think a great shout out from you. Not a ton of aerial cover here, which means our helicopter and our jet get to have so much fun on this map. And with the vehicle advantage on the side of the attackers, the defense can't get anything going. Holy cow.
The kill feed is literally all red right now. Goj, we talked about it. They were going into the C sector, 106 tickets. They are about to capture C1 with 106 tickets. They have not lost a single one, and they are about to take over the sector. Complete and utter dominance from the attack right now.
Wow, especially after the last hold. I wasn't expecting it. But again, such a difficult position when you literally cannot breathe for any more than a second or two before this jet comes sweeping in. A tank just spawned in for the attackers. They called it in, likely with some of their score that they've earned through this game. It's gonna be a brutal one. Finally, green striking back. The defense finding a bit of foothold, but only for a moment.
Yeah, I'd have to imagine right now it's gonna be a little too late to kind of make a push, right? Kind of make that defensive hold. It seems like it's all just dominance right now from the attacking side of things, and you kind of called it out, right? The tank kind of adding insult to injury right now. That one's going to be getting involved very, very shortly, and yeah, I mean, I feel like the attack just way too dominant.
Extremely dominant. Some decent solo plays from some of our defenders, but it feels like the team cohesion from our attack is much cleaner right now, or at the very least, they've just won the vehicle war, and it's paid off. But either way you look at it, these teams trying to get a footing, trying to figure out how to play together. Reminder, the squads qualified together, not the team. Commanders were picked. The commanders then drafted each of the squads. And here we are. People that don't know each other trying to play together, just like public lobbies, but here in custom matches, it is all that more difficult. And finally...
Now, that being said...
Vivid, the only thing I was going to say is just somehow the defense has stabilized a bit on C2.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say too. I was like, you know, we're kind of talking the attack up right now, but there's no progress being made onto C2 right now. Maybe that urgent deployment time being used by the defenders right there, maybe coming into play. But, you know, as we say that, a little bit of a Goj curse as the attack is now getting onto the point.
Yeah, every time we say anything, the exact opposite is going to happen. I love it. I will call out, by the way, top middle of your screen, urgent deployment time remaining. That means one of our commanders has called in one of these score abilities. This is not the most recent update, but it did come in the last couple updates here in Victory Unite. This allows you to basically immediately respawn. Obviously, there's a curse to this if you're the attack. If you give up to immediately respawn to get your body into the game again, you are giving up that life. So you actually see during that deployment, our lives drop dramatically. A blessing and a curse, but right now it's looking like a blessing as they do have almost full control over both points. That urgent redeploy timer got more bodies onto the point faster. They sacrificed a few lives for it, but C2 is going to go their way and C1 in jeopardy.
Yeah, C2 is going to be fully captured right now, and as you can see, there's only a couple of defenders kind of trying to withstand the attack onto the C1. They tried to go ahead and, you know, pulled out that tug of war tactic, going around the backside, trying to get into a C1 to kind of distract some of the attackers. But I think with the vehicle dominance, C1 should be an easy recapture. But that being said, it is actually going quite heavily in the defensive side of things. Man, I mean, shout out to the defenders right now. This looked very grim, but they are still in this.
They're still in it, and I think it's mostly on the back of, it's actually Westa here on screen on the attacking side showing us what I was going to highlight on the defensive side, some solo hero plays. Again, the team play doesn't feel good from the defense, but we have seen a couple defenders pick up triple, quadruple, even quintuple kills as a solo in each life, which is giving just enough room to breathe for the defense for a moment as they find more and more value on the map. They have retaken, they've swapped sides again. You can see the spawns coming in. C1 goes to the side of the attack. C2 now in jeopardy, and the defense have a small footing there, and they've got to make hero plays on the map. And it starts with individual gunplay. You gotta shoot straighter than your opponent and hope one of these helicopter missiles don't hit you in the face.
Yeah, I feel like this push is going to be the one that goes ahead and secures it for the attacking side of things. I saw a lot of defenders actually running up the dirt path behind the points, right? So that means there was no respawn beacons down, nobody left on the squad left alive. So that run all the way over to C2 is going to be a little bit too long, and that one's going to secure it. No Mercy takes the attack side of all things to go ahead and win the first game.
Hey, look, we're talking about it in NA semis. Attack wins are far and few between, but we start with one today. Holy cow, what a way to kick off the EU's final banger that I knew it was going to be. What a great game, and honestly, as much as it felt attack one-sided, the attack had the advantage the entire time, the attack had the momentum the entire time, they did get dwindled down to about 40 lives. We were getting into a position where maybe not back against the wall because they had footing on the map. They had places to respawn without getting killed instantly, and they had vehicle advantage, but they were wasting a few lives. Now, they did have a few to burn, so maybe that was the kind of metric for success. They said, hey, let's kind of push the pedal to the metal while we have that advantage, but either way you look at it, that is a big win on the attacking side, and it does set up No Mercy to technically win in 2 if they're able to win on the defensive side this time around as we swap sides going into Fault.
Yeah, an incredible attack from No Mercy. You got to imagine the difference right there being, we talk about the ticket economy, that A sector, it ended instantly. There was no kind of, push from the defense that made the attack actually invest any of the tickets. And when we kind of take a look at that last capture on the C sector, the fact that they had 40 tickets remaining, if A was just a little bit better from the defensive side of things, maybe that could have been the difference. But No Mercy just steamrolling through A to kind of carry that momentum into B and C. Well done from them.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it all started here, right? As we look at A, I think it took them 20 lives to full cap A1 and A2. It was like not even close. B1 and B2, probably the longest hold for the defense, and this is where I thought maybe there was a chance the defense could still win this after a romp through the the flowers. It felt like a very casual walk through A1 and A2, but it all came down to vehicle dominance. And at the end of the day, we called out our vehicle operators to get involved more, and they said, "Yeah, no problem. Let's show you what we can do." Here's a quick look over the top as our jet picks up a couple from distance, and we've got some vehicles on the map on the ground. It was utter dominance from the attack, namely because of the vehicle presence. It was just too much firepower for the defense to hold off for much longer, but they did hold off for 120 lives, by the way, or a hair more on B1 and B2 until they finally were pushed off. So it was a great effort, and it set them up for a solid C1, C2 hold.
Yeah, I feel like Fault, we've kind of seen that, hey, listen, if you are on the defensive side of things and you want to defend against the vehicles, right, and you don't really have a good vehicle economy, B is where you need to do that. I feel like there was a lot of cover for you to kind of play anti-vehicle and get involved just as an infantry right there. So if you don't have good vehicle economy, B is where you need to make a steady hold for sure. And then, yeah, once you get the C, it kind of felt like the attack side just had all of the advantage, right? All this open space, very, very hard for the defense to kind of set up and actually defend some of those points. Just a well-executed attack from the attack side, using their vehicles very, very well throughout.
Yeah, and I'm paying attention to our Discord chats to see strategies going into the next one. So far on No Mercy, it's well done. Let's do it again, guys. And on the college dropout side, it's a bit of a scramble. They're talking about a couple different strategies. I won't reveal them here on main, but they're also talking about potentially bringing in a different commander so that maybe Yellow Love can do some different things. I don't know, but a lot to talk about behind the scenes and a lot of scrambling because there's a lot on the line. We're going to head to a very short break here in the booth. When we come back, Game 2 of a best of 3. Could it be the last map, or will we go to the third? The attackers could go back-to-back to force us to Game 3. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll see you in the next one here in just a moment.
There's a few rules to follow in this trade. Planning, focus, efficiency, secrecy, discretion, restraint. One mistake, and you're dead. The secret to my survival lies in one simple tenet. I don't follow shit. Hell yeah. Staying alive. That's all that matters.
"2035. Leveraging its technological and financial prowess, Havoc has started expanding their presence. Akit, owing to its strategic location, is their primary target. Havoc has already established close cooperation with Akit, providing investment and new technologies to intervene in domestic affairs, all while promising to protect and revitalize the nation. GTI remains vigilant. They suspect Havoc is stealing sensitive data and looting cultural artifacts to fund military operations. Having obtained crucial evidence of Havoc's misdeeds, GTI has taken military action.
Spotted.
Welcome back to the Delta Force Global League Season 3 Warfare EU Finals. Game 1 leaderboard is done and here, and you can see some pretty crazy score lines. I gotta say, Clone Force 99 at the top, Store Life 47 kills. Whoa, we got a front leader here in terms of our top Slayer after 1. Holy cow, Vivid.
Work in terms of slaying out. I can't lie, Goj, my eye actually went immediately to the revives. I mean, the attack side just looks absolutely dominant, right? I mean, I'm just seeing a 52 and on top of 25, 20. It looks like they're well over 100. You look over to the defense, and it looks like we're like struggling to actually get up to the number 100. Usually when we watch these warfare matches, the revives are actually typically pretty even, but I can't lie. I mean, I'm not going to go ahead and add all those numbers up, but it looks like the attack just had way more revives from the defensive side.
I totally agree. I mean, traditionally speaking, you're totally right. Pretty even revives, usually on attack and defense, maybe favoring the attack because the lives matter even that much more. But I do think that could have been one of our issues for our defensive side. College dropouts, they were trying to prio, get bodies on the map, but one of the ways to do that is pick up revives on the map. I will say it's a little bit harder to pick up revives when you've got helicopter missiles and jet fire coming from the skies onto the points where you just died. I don't know who's going to pick you up. It certainly wouldn't be me, so that is something to keep in mind. But regardless, as we look through the scores in total, I think, yeah, a couple standouts. You talked about it. Vasia, Domkrat on Reborn Squad, going to be our top medic after game 1. Reminder, we got some individual prizing for top medic and top slayer at the end of the overall series. So those will be your 2 frontrunners. It's going to be Vasia, Domkrat, and then Store Life from Clone Force 99 at 47 overall kills in that last game. But yeah, pretty interesting. I mean, top slayer, top score across the board, pretty impressive stats. But also Silly Kitty, you talked about Silly Kitty being in the helicopter pretty much most of the game. You can see how many assists they got. So that definitely was our helicopter player. 45 total assists just by being in the skies and throwing some of those missiles down range. That is something that sometimes you don't think about as much when it comes to warfare because there's so much action. Just getting your opponents weak will allow your ground troops to win the 1v1s and win the gunfights. And here's our overall stats from the first game. Obviously, a massive difference in kills and a massive difference in score lines as No Mercy did take our first map victory.
Yeah, No Mercy definitely showing a dominant force now. Right now, goes, of course, we are going to be swapping sides now, right? So No Mercy is going to have the opportunity to go ahead and win this in just 2 games. However, they do have to do it from the defensive side of things. So college dropouts still do have the opportunity to go ahead and prove, hey, listen, you know, we may have went down in game number 1 right now, but we feel like this is a little bit attack sided now. It's a big task though, because you got to feel like the pressure's kind of on right now. If you lose this one, hey, it's over.
Yeah, this is a big moment. This is make or break for college dropouts, as college dropouts are going to be swapping over to the attacking side as well, and so we'll see them in red this time around, whereas No Mercy will be actually in green into this second map. And so keep your eyes out for that. We've got to get a win here for college dropouts. If they are able to win on the attacking side, we'll go to game 3. However, if No Mercy is able to hold on any of these points, there it is. Thank you so much, production. No Mercy, if they hold on A1, A2, or C1 and C2, maybe even B, I don't care. If they hold at all, No Mercy will be the victors of the EU finals. Red has to win this. College dropouts have to win this to force game 3, or they are out of this competition already. Here's our quick dogfight. Fault is a cinematic map, man. This is crazy start.
Yeah, absolutely incredible stuff. We saw how much impact the Jet had over course of all 3 sectors. You got to imagine if you are on the defensive side of things, you are going to want to go ahead and win that dogfight, because we saw how much pressure the Jet was able to apply on the attack side of things. And yeah, you know how Fault goes, right? We are instantly already kind of involved, already pressuring the sector here, A sector. And I will say, I'm not 100% sure if it came from the Jet on Jet Combat, but we do still have the same Jet operator on the side of No Mercy. That's going to be Columbus 13. And I did see them pick up a kill in the kill feed already. I'm not sure if that was on the other Jet, but you got to imagine if Columbus 13 is alive picking up kills, then I think No Mercy might have won again.
Yeah, if they won that early Jet encounter, I'm going to be honest, I was looking at the team chats. The only thing college dropouts were talking about in the team chat was, hey, we got to win the Jet fight. Anybody want to take the Jet? Who do we think is going to win the Jet? Can we win the Jet fight, please? That was basically everything that they were saying. And so I'm seeing Columbus again in the kill feed. I think you might be right. The dogfight might have gone to No Mercy, which means they may have controlled the skies yet again. We'll see how that all plays out here shortly, as No Mercy seems to hold on A1 and A2, at least for now.
Oh, I mean, they absolutely have held. If we talk about game number 1, right? No Mercy actually had the entirety of Sector A captured, and they had 160 tickets left. We are already below 160, and we are about halfway through capturing A2 right now. So this is kind of what I was talking about, right? Making sure you put a dampening on the economy of the attack. If they do end up, you know, picking up Sector A, hey, we got to make sure their tickets are already done right now, and No Mercy kind of winning that game already. It's looking good for them.
Yeah, it's looking really good. Playing really well together thus far, but let's see what they're able to do here as A2 finally falling to the attacking side, getting some decent value. As a reminder, the attack does end up getting pretty good amount of vehicles on the ground, traditionally speaking, on Fault, so watch out for those as they come spawning in. I think the problem is the Jet knows that as well, and our Jet operator is definitely going to be paying attention to which vehicles are coming in, and can he lay down some covering fire, potentially take the vehicles out before they get involved. That would be a huge boon, of course, for the defensive side, and will absolutely dictate who wins this map. It's going to come down to air superiority. It's going to come down to these vehicles on the ground. And so far, A1 now going to the attacking side as they slowly but surely take our very first point.
And we can sit here and we can talk about who like the top Slayer is, what the air dominance is kind of looking like, who's doing the best in the vehicles, you know, how many tickets they have left. But there's always another side of these competitions that we don't talk about a lot, and it's going to be the mental game. If your entire team chat is talking about winning the dogfight off rip and you lose it, I mean, that's terrible, right? Like your whole team's like, oh, great, we lost the aerial fight, and you know, it kind of feels like the thing's already over. So I do feel bad for college dropouts right now. Ooh, wait a minute.
Take a look at it. Oh, okay.
Oh.
Well, all right. My bad.
Got us.
I think it was Full Tank that decided to take the attacker side. I don't think this is a replay, by the way. If it was production, you can let me know. Maybe that was a replay. That was live. They said, okay, we literally are cursing everything that we talk about. Maybe we should just shut the heck up. I don't know what's going on. But unfortunately, all of our suspicions weren't correct, but they ended up being right. A little bit of prophecy foretold here, as it is Columbus winning the fight in the air. And I wonder if Voltaic maybe got weak and just backtracked and ran out of here for a while, came back and finally got punished. Either way you look at it, the defense, yes, they lost A1 and A2, but they have won the skies. We do have full lives, though, Vivid, going into B1, B2.
Yeah, actually very, very surprising right there. I was kind of talking about the ticket economy and how it looked like there had been a big chunk taken out. And there was, right? They were down to about 130, but I feel like we blinked. We were kind of laughing about, you know, Columbus picking up the Voltaic kill, and then, oh, wow, Sector A is captured. Okay, cool. I don't know what just happened or how that coin flipped so fast, but yeah, on to the B sector right now. And again, this is going to be one of those ones where very, very hard to get involved. The cliff here that you do have to traverse is very difficult, right? Because the head glitches that the defensive side can kind of peek over the top of that clip. It's very, very strong, but already I am actually seeing quite a big and significant push from the attack side. Somehow they've already managed their way up to the cliff, it looks like.
Yeah, quickly up here. Attack, college dropouts finding some footing on the map. Here's a quick look over the top, and speaking of a battle of the skies, we've got the attackers with a helicopter for no much more than maybe a second or two. And that is one of the things that we were talking a bit about during the break. The players were talking about it as well. If you win the jet battle, that jet can take down a helicopter quickly. And I think a combination of the jet and maybe some ground fire, our attacker helicopter gone immediately, which is bad news for a team that desperately needs a win.
I mean, the chemistry right there, right? A synchronized attack from a ground vehicle and the jet at the same exact time to make sure that helicopter does not find any value. Well done from No Mercy to go ahead and kind of find that cohesion to go ahead and dominate right now. And yeah, if you keep your eyes peeled for just a couple of seconds towards the top right of your screen, towards that kill feed, I mean, it's just vehicle filled for the defensive side. The vehicle economy definitely in their favor.
You saw another attacker vehicle on the ground get exploded, so huge advantage. B1 and B2, 30 lives gone in a blink of an eye, and B1 and B2 basically haven't been touched yet. Now, this is decently standard, like you were talking about. This kind of entry point into these first 2 points can be quite difficult, so the attackers can find an entry point, maybe put down some respawn beacons.
Oh,
could be pretty huge. Unfortunately, I think Little J, I think, maybe blew up his own anti-tank mines, and gonna respawn for us.
That's awesome. Not only does he go down because of that, right, but he, you know, spent a lot of time putting those mines down, and now they're all but not. So a little bit of a waste, but hey, you know, we win some, we lose some. And you know, we were kind of talking about how it felt like the defensive side of things, you know, had a pretty strong foot on the B sector, even though the attack side had so many vehicles in that last game. But now it's the flip-flop, right? The defense has a lot of vehicles. Are they going to be able to kind of get onto these points where it's pretty hard just because of all of the buildings that are around and all of the choke points? You got to imagine if you find a vehicle in a choke point, it should be pretty easy for the attack side to go ahead and blow them up.
Yeah, true.
We'll have to see.
Yeah, no, I like that shout. I think this is the moment where we can play a little bit slower as the attackers with the vehicles to make sure we keep them alive going into C. But you obviously don't want to hedge your bets if you have any. that you can't even make it to see. So you're probably gonna have to get aggressive. Once you get aggressive, these vehicles are definitely able to be blown up on either side. But I bet the defense is gonna play nice and slow with their vehicles, as they have a very easy hold, and any attacker vehicle is gonna have to play aggro and probably get punished for it. I like that shot a lot. Right now, the defense is unstoppable. Again, both points in full control.
Not to be that guy here, Goj, but Stored Life there on the defensive side of things, playing Nox in Warfare. What do we feel about the value of Nox in Warfare?
Yeah, maybe on B2. Let me come back to it, because I will say John the Bomb. Well, he's in the helicopter, that's for sure. And he's actually peppering this jet. We've got the battle for air superiority. John the Bomb known to be clutch in the moment when his team needs it most. And he's got to win a aerial battle between a jet and a helicopter when he's on the heli side. I don't like his odds, but so far, I think he's got a little bit of a health advantage, because he is full health still. And the only thing he is looking at is getting rid of this jet, which is going to be very difficult in this heli. You're really skilled. It is possible, but you've got to hit your shots, and you got to take advantage of it. And it's just pass after pass, as it does look like Columbus is back to full health now, and is so much more maneuverable than this helicopter. Can even make some bombing runs down below as John the Bomb climbs the skies and then tries to hunt down his prey. This is warfare right here. This is a battle for the ages, and it certainly is distracting a few folks down on the point.
I was actually going to make the point that, hey, listen, John the Bomb, yeah, they may not even have to take out the jet.
Yep.
They can just stay alive and keep Columbus distracted. Then they're kind of losing the value of the jet anyway. And then as I was kind of thinking about saying that, I watched Columbus make like a bomb run down towards B as he's like under attack by a helicopter. Like, Columbus 13 is doing such a good job in the jet right now for No Mercy. It is insane.
Yeah, it is one of those things I saw the players talking about. Was like, hey, is anybody experienced in the jet? Like, a decently new vehicle. Everybody loves helicopters. Everybody loves the tank destroyers and the M1A1 tanks, and obviously the IFVs and everything down below that you could use. But not everybody's had a crazy amount of experience in the jet. I mean, there's only a couple that spawn in. Not even every single map has one. So somebody's been practicing, and I think that somebody is Columbus. And it looks like the defense, although they were shaky for a moment on both points there, they're now fully restabilized. And it does look like Columbus continues to find kills while fighting John in the skies. That jet just so much more maneuverable than the helicopter. And John just struggling to stay alive right now, as it looks like an Allure rocket's going to try to hit there to help out our jet in the sky.
No, that would be crazy. I would just watch him land an Allure rocket on a flying helicopter. That would be crazy. Back to the ground, though, right? The B sector is not even slightly captured for the attack side right now. B1, B2 fully in control for the defensive side of things. 60 tickets remaining right now. College dropouts, yeah, they're kind of lighting up the feed right now, but in terms of the macro game across the entirety of the map, I cannot lie, Goj, it is looking quite grim.
Yeah, this is brutal. I gotta say, Columbus has been in the lab, but the defense just looks like the stronger team. Whether it's Be Quiet's draft, you can see on your screen right now, obviously we're watching D9, but Be Quiet and their squad, whether it's their drafting capabilities, their knowledge of the player base, or just a little happenstance of how they've been able to put together their team chemistry with a couple strong heroes. Columbus may be my MVP, but this team is the better team right now. There is no question about it. As No Mercy slowly but surely whittle down these lives. Finally, some value coming through from Yellow Love. The boys are putting all the effort that they can, even a data knife to the face. Yellow Love's giving everything he can to his opponents, and they have found some value on B1 Vivid. But they got to capture both. And right now, I only see 2 bodies on B2 quickly getting cut down as the defense restabilizes over there.
Yeah, Fault Sector B could be the determining factor for who goes to Vietnam. Remember what is on the line right now. No Mercy have already picked up game number 1. They are currently 30 tickets away for booking themselves a trip to LAN right now. And as it currently stands, B1, B2 going back in their control, slowly creeping up, which means that they've got more men on those capture points right now, and the tickets, they're just dropping fast.
I can only assume, too, this urgent deployment time is coming in from No Mercy, as they have certainly rallied up a ton more score than their opponents. So you're going to see a ton of defenders onto the map very quickly with this new deployment time. You can give up and immediately spawn back in. Seeing some nice value over the top here from Funky, but either way you look at it, it's been a battle for the skies, and the battle for the skies has determined the battle on the ground. The defense has vehicles on the ground and in the skies. They've got advantages everywhere, and these lives are dwindling so dramatically. Holy cow, the attack goes down to 10 and counting. This is not even close. They're giving everything they can in the final moments, but Vivid, I think this is a defensive win. I think this is No Mercy, taking it to the house, taking it to Vietnam.
4 tickets for Mania. It's all but said and done. You just got to go ahead and close the book at this point. B1, yeah, the attack side, College Dropouts, they made a final push towards the end. And as I say that, wait a minute, Ghost. B2 is being captured fast.
Ran out.
Hit 0. Oh,
Ran out.
The push at the end, just a little bit too late. If that was just a little bit earlier, it looked like we actually had B sector that was up in the air, but no Mercy goes ahead and closes it out clean. They go ahead and stop through on attack. We talked about how hard that is to actually do. They go ahead and defend the second sector. They don't even take it to the third one. Just dominance throughout the entirety of the day.
Wow, No Mercy living up to their namesake, man. No Mercy. It is a best of 3, which means we've had 2 wins. They win on attack, they win on defense. Fault is theirs, and that also means the championship is theirs. They have won EU Finals. No Mercy, huge congratulations. Shout out to our commander, Be Quiet. Holy cow, whatever you did in the draft or prep or anything in between, honestly, just drafting Columbus changed the game. They win out on Fault in a honestly beautiful and dynamic, dramatic fashion. All the different adjectives you can think of. That was domination at its finest. 2-0 here in the EU Finals. We started less than an hour ago, and somehow, some way, the competition is done. What are we talking about?
Yeah, what just happened, right? Feels like we blinked and all of the action is already over. You know, listen, that one started to look out very, very good early on for No Mercy, right? They were actually holding down the A sector. That seemed almost impossible after that first game, but no, they were kind of doing it. Made a little bit of, you know, pressure added on to the attack side of things. It made those tickets drop down to all the way to 130. But sure enough, you know, the attack kind of picked things up, and then, you know, we kind of know what followed after the A sector.
Yeah, I mean, it really was like, you know, a moment where we're just paying attention to the air, because everybody in the team chats that we saw in Discord and also basically in the game, you're seeing how much value the air support has. You're right. It was all paying attention to the air, and then the attackers actually found value in A1 and A2. And so we're like, okay, maybe they can play even though they don't have an advantage. But here's where the advantages came into play. You know, as much as we were talking about B1 and B2 not being super favorable in terms of vehicle support, just because there's a lot more cover you can play around, it certainly played a pretty big piece of the puzzle of the win here for our No Mercy squad. Even the vehicles on the ground were an advantage for the defensive side. And so overall, there was just way too much firepower for our attackers to figure out how to get onto these points in a timely fashion.
This is going to be a little bit of copium right here, right? But as one-sided over the course of both of those games, as one-sided as the vehicle game was in favor of No Mercy, I feel like if College Dropouts was just a little bit better in the vehicles, then I feel like they would be the better team, right? Because, you know, when you kind of look at how the matches were going, they were close enough. And when we think about how close those matches actually were, and how one-sided the vehicle economy was for No Mercy, the fact that College Dropouts were able to put up a fight against like 3-4 vehicles down, I mean, they really did, you know, try their best and put up a very good fight. But of course, you know, we know how warfare goes. In the end, those vehicles, they reign supreme.
Yeah, they really do, especially on Fault. I think that's a great shout and a great breakdown. Very well done from No Mercy. Again, this is the interesting thing about the Delta Force Global League from the warfare side of things. You come in with your squad, your team of 4, and then your squads are drafted onto an overall team of 20 players here in Victory Unite. And so because of that, with multiple squads on the same team that have never played together, it really comes down to who can find the chemistry fastest. And No Mercy absolutely had that in the bag. Everything looked dialed in. Everything looked like they were following orders. Everything looked like they were organized, whereas on the other side, it just looked like maybe it was taking a hair too long for our other squad to figure out how to work together and actually coordinate on some of their pushes, because there were good moments. Even in that last map that felt like a domination, Vivid, at the very end, they had a really strong push. It was just too little too late. They didn't have enough lives, and ultimately ended up losing the map because of it. So a brutal one for the opposition, but No Mercy was the top squad, the top team overall by a mile. And so the next big question in my mind is, who are some of our top individuals? Because we've still got top medic on the line for $500, still got top slayer on the line for $500, which can come from either side, by the way. I think it'll come from the No Mercy side. And then also, obviously, we want to congratulate them again, because that entire team of 20, all of these new squads that are playing together for the very first time, get to all travel together, build up, hopefully, Kim before the competition, but all travel together to Vietnam to represent the EU region at our Delta Force Invitational Warfare in Vietnam, which is basically our world's competition for warfare. Craziest thing to say in the world. I think there's a lot of work they got to put in, but it's looking like they've laid the groundwork that could have them finding some success in Vietnam.
Yeah, I mean, what a task to behold, right? Imagine you're the commander and you're kind of charged with bringing 20 different individuals together who kind of just got thrown together for this weekend. And now you were kind of tasked with, making sure that all of these 20 players, all these different squads kind of find chemistry going into, a giant event like that. Woo, they've got their work cut out for them. But hey, listen, if today is any indication, they are already off to a very good start.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be fun to see what they decide to do in terms of preparation, especially with this rule set. Obviously, it's a very unique rule set with the Delta Force Global League. Some of these players aren't used to playing Victory Unite. Some of these players don't necessarily rep this quite as much. And so there's a lot of work that they got to put in between now and then. But still waiting on a few scores because we do have some individual pricing. And I'm looking forward to seeing who are going to be some of our top individuals. Now, I think as we look back on the competition and look forward, this was our EU finals, Vivid. So we have got our winner, our overall winner that is headed to Vietnam. We are not done with the Delta Force Global League today, though. We still have a couple more things to wrap up on this show. We've also got the NA finals. We did the whole semifinals last weekend. We know the squads that are playing here in the finals. That's going to be a little bit later today. I'll talk about that at the end of the show. So although this show went quickly, we are not done with Delta Force today. Let's take a look at our overall leaderboard from that last game first, though. Game 2. Vivid, talk to me about what you're seeing.
Oh my gosh. We were kind of talking about how the revives for College Dropouts was seemingly low, right? In the 21st of June, right there, picking up 45 of their own. I immediately saw 15,000 score way at the top of the leaderboard. How in the heck did they go ahead and do that? They decided to, try to put their team on their back right there in terms of providing that push coverage, right? Making sure those revives were kind of coming in for them. But on the opposite side of things, we did not see Columbus towards the top of the scoreboard last game, even though there was complete and utter dominance out of the jet from them. But this game, getting the respect towards the top of the leaderboard, 5,000 score above Silly Kitty, actually. Columbus 13 definitely deserved of being all the way up there at the top. Goj kind of talked about it. MVP, it kind of felt like in that jet. Not going to get top Slayer, not going to get top Medic, but felt like definitely had the most impact for No Mercy.
Yeah, I like that shout a lot. Some fun stats across the board. Taking a look at College Dropouts again, I mean, the revive category is really what my eyes are drawn to. Like, obviously you see, 21 June 1934, I guess an important date for this player, but either way you look at it, 45 revives and the top score, which is huge. I mean, that's massive. But everybody else really didn't do all that much in the revive category, which is brutal when you're on the attack. I mean, it's one of the reasons that our lives tick down so quickly, especially on B1 and B2. I think that's where I would say maybe this is a coordination error. Maybe we didn't talk enough about which squads should be playing Stinger, which squads should be prioing, picking players up. I don't know. Some fun conversations there, but of course we do see two members of Du Bois near the top of the leaderboard there. Yellow Love was putting in work, saw a couple heroic individual plays from Yellow Love as per the usual, so a shout out to the Du Bois. They did play pretty well, unfortunately couldn't piece it all together for their overall team, but again, a top medic over there. But you're right, Bossia, Domcrat 46 on the other side. I can only imagine they're going to be our top medic overall based on what we saw in the first game as well. But some fun stats across the board. Again, I think I look at our assists, I look at some of our vehicle gameplay and vehicle games, and our vehicle operators really changed the game, Vivid, as always here in Warfare, but even more so on Fault.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Some names kind of shout out there that were, obviously we have Columbus, who we saw on the jet multiple times. On the attack side of things, we know Silly Kitty was in the helicopter for No Mercy. Another individual that I saw a bunch in some of those ground vehicles as well. That's going to be Element right there, down in 14th place. Not necessarily finding insane value on the defensive side of things, but definitely had an impact playing into some of those vehicles. A little bit of a shout out as well to John the Bomb from College Dropouts, right? We saw them multiple times try to kind of find some sort of foothold in the vehicle game, right?
Yeah.
Actually showing expertise in not only, you know, the helicopter, but also some of those ground vehicles as well. So was trying to put up some sort of effort right there, but you know, in the end of things, just way too much dominance for No Mercy.
Yeah, the unsung hero, John the Bomb, was in the skies, just harrying the jet the best they could with a helicopter. After losing the dogfight between the two jets, it was going to be extremely difficult to get that jet out of the sky. Talked a little bit about anti-air missiles from the ground, certainly helpful. Helicopter able to do a decent bit of damage, but not able to cut it down and make that Columbus could kind of do whatever they wanted. So yeah, pretty interesting stuff across the board. But in terms of overall score, it's pretty obvious that No Mercy was the best team overall. Let's take a look at that overall leaderboard, though. It is a back-to-back win for No Mercy. Like we've said, 558,000 score and 720 kills in 2 games, with one of those games being pretty quick, frankly, because we ended up B1 and B2. That's actually a pretty impressive amount of kills between basically 1.5 games here, Vivid.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it looks like they were about 100 kills ahead on each single one of those teams, right? So, you know, obviously we know they won the match, so they're definitely going to be ahead in the kills. But hey, listen, 100 in each one of those games, kind of feeling like incredible stuff, and good for them to kind of keep composure going into game number 2 there with, you know, knowing, hey, listen, our call's on the line right now. We could just win this game. We could go. But yeah, No Mercy, just cold.
Yeah, all right. Let's take a look at our pricing overall and see who our individual reward winners are and our top teams. Of course, we know No Mercy won $6,000 as a team split between all players. However, Jinx, is this correct? Jinx ended up picking up top medic, and Store Life was our top slayer because of the first game prowess. Wow, a bit surprising. I wasn't expecting this one.
You know what's crazy is that Store Life, I don't know if you remember, right before we went to the aerial fight, I was like, you know, Store Life's on Nox. Like, what do we feel about the value there? And, you know, kind of proving, hey, Vivid, shut up, bro. Nox is getting me top slayer, getting me $500. So shout out to Store Life picking up the most kills on an operator that I didn't necessarily felt like was finding a lot of value in Warfare. But hey, you know, I love to be wrong.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Store Life picked up 47 kills in the first game. The reason Store Life's our top slayer is because they were top slayer in the first game by like almost 20 kills over everybody else. Like absolutely obliterated. So I had 68 in total. Silly Kitty was actually in second with 51 overall. But top medic goes to Jinx, and it was really close across the board. But Jinx had 46 overall is what they're saying here. We'll double check all of those numbers and make sure they're all correct. But Jinx may be our top medic.
No, I gotta say, right, Go's kind of talking about, hey, listen, Silly Kitty was in second. We're kind of looking at the leaderboard off on our second screens over here, and X Mia is actually in competition, like kind of on that top 5 leaderboard for not only the Slayer, but also the medic side of things. So definitely putting up an incredible performance, an individual performance, not, you know, kind of being in contention for top Slayer, but then also top medic at the same exact time. Incredible value there.
Yeah, no, totally agree. A lot of fun and interesting notes here from our leaderboard and our individual kill categories, medics, and everything in between. A lot of prize money exchanging hands. But the big story today, Vivid, as we wrap, is that we're going to be seeing this team of 20, this entire team who just met each other, just got drafted. This whole team of 20 is going to be headed to Vietnam to play in the World Finals against a bunch of different regions and a bunch of other teams that maybe have a bit more experience as a team of 20 than they do. Any final thoughts here for the broadcast, maybe in preparation for Vietnam?
Yeah, it's going to be very, very exciting, right? The fact that these finals are kind of happening online, it's going to give the opportunity for some of the other Warfare teams at the LAN to go ahead and kind of take a look at this. So we're going to kind of see another added layer to the competition when we go to LAN, but that's what LAN is all about, kind of amping up the competition. I'm very, very excited. I feel like No Mercy proved that they are definitely going to be a top team to kind of look out for come that LAN. And then, of course, Goes, we know we have NA later on, which is exciting, right? EU, we did not get the opportunity to watch a semifinals for, but for NA, we did. We know kind of how those two teams that are going to be going head to head later we kind of know how they play, what they were kind of good at, how their matches went. So the storyline for that one later on today is going to be just that much better. I'm very, very excited to tune in later as well.
Yeah, a great shout, Vivid. I appreciate you, man. That was a lot of fun. It was a quick one, but it was a lot of fun. And of course, I'll be seeing you not only into future competitions, but also later today for NA Finals, my man. I will check you then. Folks at home, what a day already. We started off hot, and of course, we'll finalize all pricing and everything with our players as we wrap up the show and make sure they all know what's going on. But it is a team of 20. No Mercy headed to Vietnam, and so there is no finalization that we need for that. They will be moving on to the World Finals, the Delta Force Invitational Warfare side of things, this time in Vietnam against all of our other regions. Excited to see them play quite a bit more. But that's all we have today, at least for now. North American Finals, though, later today. If you're in the Central Time Zone, it's 6 p.m. start. Pacific Time, 4 p.m. You're not going to want to miss it. These are two teams we've already casted over. We've already seen win their respective semifinals, now battling against each other to win the finals for North America. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be on this channel. It's today, just in a couple hours, about 6 hours from now, roughly 4 p.m. Pacific Time. You're not going to want to miss it. I do want to remind everybody at home, though, that we couldn't do it without you, the viewers. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in just a couple hours for North America Finals.
One of the defenders is kind of holding them out. This is surely an easy capture for the attackers already. You can see off in the distance, the attacking vehicle was kind of laying down suppressive fire on these ridges to get onto the point.
Yeah, it does look like, by the way, as the attack is trying to figure out what
Side that was picking up more kills out of the jet. So that jet is still alive for the attack. Absolutely. You see John the bomb right there kind of making a push with the vehicle. He's going to be getting blown up after he did. I mean, this is why I'm kind of surprised as well. It's like when we kind of take a look at the vehicle, holy moly, there's like 10 attackers on it. And that's what those aerial vehicles
literally cannot breathe for any more than a second or two.
It's all just dominance right now from the attacking side of things, and you kind of hear that a little bit of a gauche curse as the attack is now getting on right now. This looks very grim, but they are still in this.
They're still in it, and I think it starts with individual gunplay. You gotta shoot straighter than your opponent and hope one of these helicopter missiles.
One beacon's down, nobody left on the squad left alive, so that run all the way over to C2 is going to be a little bit.
The thing college dropouts were talking about in the team chat was, hey, we gotta win the jet fight. Anybody want to take the jet? What's going on? But unfortunately, all of our suspicions weren't correct, but they
already. I am actually seeing quite a big and significant push from the attack side. Amateur right there, ready to synchronize attack from a ground vehicle and the jet at the same exact time to make sure that
jet in the sky.
No, that would be crazy. I just watched. He could be the determining factor for who goes to Vietnam.
This is No Mercy taking it to the house, taking it to Vietnam.
4 tickets for Mania. It's all but said and done. You just got to go ahead and